I just want to play for the folks what we are talking about. Here is the soundbite where Jake, my guest here, asked President Trump about the rise in anti-Semitism. Here's that soundbite.
I want to find a friendly reporter. Used to say it was John. Are you a friendly reporter? Watch how friendly he is. Wait. Watch how friendly he is. Go ahead.
I've been to the entire campaign, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, my name is Jake Turx from Ami Magazine, and despite what some of my colleagues may have been reporting, I haven't seen anybody in my community accuse either yourself or anyone on your staff of being anti-Semitic. We understand that you have Jewish grandchildren. You are their Zaidi. However, what we are concerned about, and what we haven't really heard being addressed, is an uptick in anti-Semitism and how the government is planning to take care of it. There's been a report out that 48 bomb threats have been made against Jewish centers all across the country in the last couple of weeks. There are people who are committing anti-Semitic acts or threatening.
Coming to the world of the media. At least I got that out of it.
And so what happened, there was a little click in there. You asked, is there an uptick in anti-Semitic? Did you ever ask that question of Barack Obama?
I didn't cover Barack Obama, but I would have. Specifically, I would have asked about the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, sanction movement targeting Israel, which is, Israel is unique in the sense that they're the only one who has such a movement. You don't see such a movement against Syria, against North Korea, against Sudan, against Yemen, against Saudi Arabia, against Iran. You only see that against Israel. And there was a sense that the administration was somewhat okay with it, or even possibly egging it on. So
why didn't you cover Obama?
Because I'm only 30 years old, and I haven't done skydiving yet either. I mean, I covered some events of Obama, but I wasn't a full-time correspondent.
Yeah. Was it apparent to you, as it is to me and most people, that Obama hated Israel? Obama hated Jews. Obama hated whites. He hate was good. Is that as apparent to you as it is to most people?
There are some in the community that would say that, but it's, and I understand why that would be your position. But I mean, if you look at certain areas like settlement building, did go up, had been at an all-time high under Obama, despite rhetoric from the Obama administration, and funding to Israel had increased by more than any other administration. So there were areas that perhaps, he didn't get along with the Prime Minister of Israel very well, but
he
there were
hated him.
You know what? So did former French President Sarkozy, and he was very pro-Israel. So
is it apparent to you? Was it apparent at the time that Obama hated the Prime Minister of Israel, and that he hated Israel?
Jewish Republicans did seem to feel that.
How about you? Did you feel that way?
I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm biased against everybody. I hate the two-party system, and I hate the fact that we have to have a two-party system. But it would be very interesting how historians would judge Obama vis-a-vis Israel, because, like I said, when it came to providing funding for the Iron Dome program, when it came to providing, they just signed a memorandum of understanding, a 10-year, $38 billion deal, which is far greater than any deal signed between a U.S. president and Israel before. So there have been certain areas where President Obama had been more forthcoming with regards to Israel, and about Prime Minister Netanyahu. Look, not everybody needs to get along with everybody else. That alone doesn't necessarily have to suggest a broader picture.
Is it possible? I mean, when you ask that question of President Trump, do you believe that there was a rise in anti-Semitism, or was the media trying to pretend that it was in order to try and stop President Trump from winning?
Right. So when you say it was the media trying as a way of that, like a group of people came together and said, okay, let's try to, let's say anti-Semitic, yeah, let's do that. I don't think that's what happened. What I think what was happening was that people were coming forward and saying, hey, I was a victim of this attack, and it was a Trump follower, a Trump supporter. And the media, instead of doing its due diligence, decided to jump on it. Oh, great, we have the story. And then a lot of those stories were later proven to either be false or misrepresentations. So I think some of the media were a little bit too overzealous in finding such stories.
Yeah.
of violence, and as the president himself said in a different part of that press conference, that some of it was being done by his opponents to make him look bad, and he was later vindicated.
Yeah. When President Trump said, "See, he's not a friend," I thought he was going to have a nice, friendly question or whatever he said. Did you feel funny? Did you feel embarrassed, or how did you feel when he said that to you and about you?
So that's why I was saying earlier, it's about suppressing feelings and not taking anything personally.
So you didn't feel anything?
I didn't say I didn't feel anything. I said I tried suppressing any feelings. But let me ask you this. When you started walking for the first time, and let's say you're 2 years old or whatever, and someone comes over to you and asks you, "Hey, how did that feel?" You'd be like, "I don't know. Never happened before."
Well, that's good. You do have to be tough if you're going to be in the media
Sure.
or the public square, period, really.
Absolutely.
Because of so many attacks. Do you agree with me that white Americans are under attack?
Under attack in the sense of what?
They're called racist. They're called all kinds of names. They are being under attack by the minorities, or being all kind of, openly hating folks and trying to hold them back.
Well, if you are a white male right now in the United States who is straight, you do not have you can be the target of any kind of ridicule without being able to complain about it. And if you do, people will say, "Oh, you must be a white supremacist." So there is that frustration, and some of that may have very clearly contributed to Trump's victory. It's very
it was
possible.
happening prior to the disdain for white people was happening prior to President Trump, but it has gotten worse since he's been there. We saw Obama doing it. Obama hate whites, he hate Jews, he hate America, he hate anything that's good. And I thought that he did an all-out assault on white, straight men while in office. He's divided the country more than any other person on this side of heaven in the history of America. We're worse off because of him than any other time.
Well, the country the country definitely seems divided.
Yeah.
But then the question is, did he sit down and say, "How can I divide the country?"
No, he just divided it. He accused white cops, falsely accused them when thugs were being killed because they were thugs and not obeying the orders. He kept bringing up the Jim Crow thing, law as though that exists today in America. He promoted this radical organization, Black Lives Matter. Do you agree with me that Black Lives Matter is a far-left, liberal, socialist, radical organization that's worse than the KKK?
Well, I don't know worse. I haven't really weighed the. I mean, would you agree that out of every organization there are bad people who have the sometimes could or would give that organization a bad name, and perhaps there might be some good
Which
people
organization?
Any organization is
But
going
there's nothing good about Black Lives Matter. There's nothing. There's not one
I
person
can't say that
because
I don't know enough about the
But you
movement.
do know that they're radical, evil, worse than the KKK, right?
I'm not sure if everybody is.
No.
I don't know why. I would assume that every group would have some moderates, would have some extremists.
No,
would have
all those folks are extreme.
All right.
Anyone that would join a group or support a group that chants, "What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now?" Pigs in the blanket, fry them like bacon, and then people go out and start killing cops.
Is that what the mainstream of that group believes, though?
Anyone that support an organization that does that have to agree with it.
Is that really what?
Yes.
Is that like part of the charter of the organization? Or is that
Yes.
something that they just chant
No,
once in a while?
they hate cops. They blame them for the downfall of Black Americans. It's a false accusation, not even true.
Well, let me ask you this.
Do you agree to that?
Well, did you ever get pulled over by a cop unfairly, or did you feel that you were pulled over exclusively based on how you looked?
First, let me ask, do you agree with me, though, that anyone that would agree with, and then I answer that would agree with an organization like that has to be evil, too?
If that is what the organization stands for.
But you know that's
sure.
what they stand for.
I don't know if that's what they
What
stand
else
for.
they stand for? They haven't done anything good. They don't stand for getting rid of gangs and drugs out of the urban areas, stop the violence. They don't do any of that to black people. They only attack white folks.
Well, it's very hard to attack people who have guns. It's much easier to attack people
Cops
who...
have guns.
Oh no, but I mean gangs is what I said. You're okay. I see what you did.
But even Obama, who had the support of the United States behind him, did nothing to help black people in those areas.
That is, I think, a very fair argument to make. But the question is, well, did he do that by design because he wants to destroy America, or
No,
is it
he
just
wanna-
something perhaps that is larger than one individual?
Yeah, he wanted to destroy America, and he kept them in that position to keep them angry, brainwashed, and dumbed down, because you can't control immoral people. You have to demoralize them. So he needed them to be that way so he could use this false accusation of racism in order to destroy the country.
If this was his objective, do you feel that he thinks he succeeded?
He has succeeded in a mighty way. His concern now, can he continue in that way?
But what if that's not fully accurate? What if that wasn't really his agenda?
No, it was.
Isn't that a very serious accusation?
No, it absolutely was. There's no
It absolutely was.
And no if. Anytime someone says, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin, after what Trayvon Martin did, then that's his agenda. But you asked me if I had been stopped unfairly by cops, right? And felt like it was because of racism.
Okay.
When I had that anger and I was in that fallen state, I thought that. But now that I've overcome the anger, I don't think that at all.
So you're saying it's in the mind, it's a perception, and it's not something that's rooted in reality,
100%.
unless a racist cop shows up on the scene.
No such thing as a racist cop.
There are no cops who have personal biases.
Racism doesn't even exist. People may have personal bias, but there's no such thing as racism. It's a lie. What did you think of Sean Spicer's comparing Syria attack to Assad to Hitler? Remember when you said that?
Yeah, sure.
And he was attacked for saying it to the point he had to apologize. What did you personally think about that?
Actually, a number of people on Twitter pointed out that it was highly suspicious that the day that he chose to make that comparison was Passover, when I was not at the White House.
That's funny.
So here's the thing. Actually, I had seen that argument being made on alt-right websites already more than a week before those Spicer comments.
Yeah.
And it is historically inaccurate for many reasons. One that not a lot of people are actually aware of, but it's very it's easily verifiable. But I mean, I don't know if you have a clip of his comments or anything like that, but essentially what he was saying and what some alt-right websites were saying was that Assad is worse than Hitler because even Hitler did not use chemical weapons on his own people.
Right.
Now, what I think, and I personally feel that Spicer had been influenced by some of those articles. I don't think this would have been a position that he himself just came up with. Before I tell you why they are wrong, let me explain what they had meant. Perhaps was that in World War I, Germany used poison gas, France used poison gas. They just shot artillery with different chemical weapons inside, and the artillery would explode. And if you didn't wear your gas mask, or if you're just had a faulty gas mask or whatever, you would die a really painful death. In World War II, they didn't use chemical weapons on the battlefield. That perhaps is what they meant. However, to say that Hitler didn't use chemical weapons against his own people, before even the Jews and the gas chambers, there was a program in 1936 where the Germans would take their own some physically, but mostly mentally handicapped children. They would put them into the backs of trucks. The exhaust pipe would be inside the truck. They would seal the truck. They would drive a couple of miles, and all the children will be dead. And that was their way of creating a social Darwinism where survival of the fittest and anyone who relies on the state exclusively and can produce, in the case of mental handicap and some physically handicapped children,
That's crazy.
there's no way that they can ever be of service to us, so why do we need them? So the first people that Hitler gassed were literally his own people. These were German children. They were Aryan children. They were not Jews. They were not gypsies. They were German children that he gassed. And then seeing how effective that was gave them somewhat of a precedent to say, hey, we can get rid of a whole lot of Jews and Slavic people and other ethnicities really quickly this way.
Did you think he should have apologized? Did you think he was
Yeah,
a
he
racist?
did apologize. He did apologize.
But did you think he should?
Well, racism
have
doesn't
made-
exist, as you pointed out. So
Right.
I guess.
But did you think he was anti-Semitic, or that he was hating the Jews, or putting the Jews out where he had to apologize? Should he have apologized for saying that?
Well, he did apologize. Look, I have a great
But
relationship
should he
with
have
Sean.
apologized?
Look, I have a very good relationship with Sean, and I don't assume for a second that he's anti-Semitic. I think this came from him being influenced by an argument that he had seen without
I know, but
knowing
should he
the
have
full-
apologized
He
for that?
apologized.
I know he did, but should he have?
Oh, sure, of course he should have, because
Okay, so why didn't they make? I believe Chris Matthews said the same thing. I believe was it Chris James? Chris Matthews said the same thing back in 2013.
Yeah, I
the
saw that
exact
clip.
same
Yeah.
thing. There was no outcry about it. No one said anything. They amen it and praise the Lord, and and no one made him apologize. What's the difference between Chris saying it and Spencer?
Well,
or
first of all,
Spicer?
okay, Chris, apologize. There you go.
But why
it's
didn't
on
they
the
make-
record now. I told him.
Why
to
didn't they make him apologize? What's the difference between the two men? That one had to apologize and the other one didn't.
Okay, difference is why weren't those alt-right websites told to apologize?
No. I want to know that
speak,
first.
When you speak on behalf of a president, and when anything that Spicer says at a briefing could be taken as policy or could shape policy, it is very important that inaccuracies like that are not
But Chris
made.
is a reporter. He's on TV. He's giving out news. He's telling the folks, and he said the same
Well,
thing.
actually, a lot of people would disagree with you about Chris putting out news.
Well, I'll do it too, but I'm just saying he's.
But, no, look, I definitely, like I said, I came across that clip. I hadn't seen it before, the whole
Right.
Spicer controversy, and it's very possible. Well, talking about Chris Matthews, why didn't he correct Kellyanne Conway when she said the Bowling Green Massacre statement? Not everything that everybody says is picked up the same way. Some statements, a lot of it has to do with timing. If I say yes, we can right now, it's not going to get me elected as the first black president of the United States. But when Barack Obama said it, it did get him elected as the first black president.
I think it was more about hating Trump. It was more, again, about trying to make the president look like he hates folks and he's a racist and all that.
You know what? Sometimes administration has a hard time getting out of its own way. Sometimes they make it easy for these accusations to be
But
leveled
they didn't
against
do
them.
anything to Barack Obama. He said and did all kinds of crazy things.
Well,
Insane things.
Yeah.
They just
But-
said nothing. Oh, he's so wonderful. And he
But
speaks so well.
as a politician-
He's so intellectual.
Well, he was more level-headed as a politician.
Who? Obama was in that case.
You can say that, but
Back
he,
in a moment, folks. Hold
Sure.
that thought. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.